This is not three gods working in harmony. That's what some people think about the doctrine of the Trinity. That what you really have is three little gods, and they work in harmony, and sum total together, they equal the great God. That is not the doctrine of the Trinity. It is also not one God who takes three different forms at different times for different reasons. Sometimes God takes the form of Father because that's what's needed. Sometimes he takes the form of Son because that's what's needed. And then sometimes he takes the form of Spirit because that's what's needed. One God who takes three different forms as the situation is called for. That is not what the Bible means by the Holy Trinity. So, well, what does the Bible mean by the Holy Trinity? Father, Son, and Spirit. It's hard to get your mind wrapped around, so hold on to your seat, okay? The Holy Trinity is one God, eternally existent in three persons who know and love one another. It's not he became a Trinity when the Spirit incarnated the physical Christ. It's not that he becomes the different people of the Trinity as the situation calls for it. This is an expression of the very internal nature of God himself. He is three persons from eternity. He always has been, and he always will be. We see a glimpse of this in the baptism of Jesus. We see the work of the Father, of the Son, and the Spirit. We see a glimpse of the interior life of God that has been there for all eternity and will still be there for all eternity to come. Now, the Gospel of John informs us here. John chapter 7, verses 4 and 5, Jesus says to the Father, I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work you gave me to do. And now, Father, glorify me in your presence with the glory that I had with you before the world began. Now, what does all of that mean? It's another glimpse of the internal working of the Godhead. They glorify one another. The Father glorifies the Son glorifies the Spirit glorifies the Son glorifies the Father, the Son glorifies the Father, the Son glorifies the Spirit. They glorify one another all the time. It is the internal, eternal nature of God. Three persons existing from before time till after time who know and who love one another. When you glorify something, you find it beautiful for what it is in and of itself. Its beauty compels you to adore it. Its beauty compels you to admire it. This happened to me when I was in college. Now, I was first introduced to classical music as a high school student. Immediately loved it. But in college, I started out as a music major. As a freshman music major, I had to take a music listening course. And in that course, you had to listen to classical music from the different eras or periods of classical music. And we took a sample from each era and we analyzed it. What was this music like? What were its characteristics? It really was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the class. I had heard once before Schubert's Unfinished Symphony. I liked it. But in that class, we listened to it and we analyzed it. And I loved it. Now, it's my favorite piece of music of all time. I think it's the most beautiful piece of music ever written. And I listen to it. And when I listen to it, I glory in it. I glory in its beauty. Now, when I was taking that course on music listening, it was a means to an end. I listened to it not because of the glory of its beauty. I listened to it to get a grade. But now I listen to it for no other reason other than to just glorify in its beauty. I glory in its beauty. The Father glories in the beauty of the Son. The Son glories in the beauty of the Father. They glory in the beauty of the Spirit, and the Spirit glories in the beauty of them. They each one glory in the beauty of one another. C.S. Lewis wrote, "This picture of God as a Holy Trinity tells us that God is not static. God is dynamic. God is pulsating activity. He is pulsating life. He is the embodiment of love, as the Father loves the Son and the Son loves the Spirit, and they all love one another. And this pulsating activity of life and love, this is the story of Jesus. And it gives power to the story because he is one member of this beautiful portrait of the internal nature of God. And it's filled with life. It's filled with activity. The Father and the Son, they glory in each other's beauty. The Father, the Son, and the Spirit, they love each other profoundly. The Father and the Son and the Spirit, they submit to each other and defer to each other completely. And when we look at the internal workings of the eternal nature of God, we see a being, C.S. Lewis says, that is infinitely and profoundly happy. Infinitely and profoundly happy. And Lewis described it this way. He's an Anglican. He can use this description. We Baptists might not like it. He said it's like a dance. Not the boogie woogie the boogie woogie boogie boy, beagle boy. It's a dance. The three dancing in perfect harmony with each other. There's not one in the center and the other two orbiting around. Each one orbits around the other equally because one is not superior to the other, and they defer completely to one another. The love that they share is a selfless love. Therefore, they dance in this beautiful dance that pulsates with energy and pulsates with life. And when we learn of the story of Jesus and of his love, we are catching just a glimpse of the internal workings of God himself.